So, welcome everyone to today's fireside chat. We will be having Josh Hunt talk about 5 tips to avoid becoming a lifelong learner, which I'm very interested in. And I'm also very interested in what customer success and customer support wish marketing knew about support and success with Carrie Wendell. So, without further ado, I believe, Josh, are you doing the 5 minutes first? All right, take it away.
Right. Well, there's actually been a change to my title. I realized I've got way more than 5 tips on avoiding becoming a lifelong learner. So it's been expanded to 10. Let's see. Can everyone see the presentation here?
Yes.
Okay. So how to avoid becoming a lifelong learner and some other bad advice. If we haven't met yet, my name is Joshua Hunt. I'm a senior designer here at Faith Life. Oh, goodness. How did this get in here? Well, I guess I should go ahead and talk about my family real quick. My wife and I just had our firstborn son, Judah, 4 months ago. So here's a couple little pics of his adorable self. All right, back to business. As I was saying, so how to avoid becoming a lifelong learner and some other bad advice. There's an alternative title for this, which is 10 tips for cultivating complacency, stagnation, and mediocrity. I wanted to do a talk addressing a lot of my failures in my career, but 5 minutes seemed too short a time to go ahead and open a sensitive topic like that. So I wanted to do a little satirical talk for us today. And what these 10 tips are essentially bits of advice, unspoken advice that I've really given to myself, and from time to time have seen others around me at different organizations also implement. So take all of this inverted. So here we go, 10 tips for cultivating complacency, stagnation, and mediocrity. So some tools that you're gonna need. You're definitely gonna want a comfortable environment. And you don't have to have these, but these are definitely nice to haves. You're really gonna want a fixed mindset. So not to be confused with a growth mindset. That's not what we're going for here. You're gonna want a sense of entitlement because people owe you stuff. And if you don't have that, then apathy will work as a good substitute. And then the fourth thing you're gonna need is a delicate ego. And really here, it's like the more fragile, the better when we're trying to avoid growth and learning. So let's get right into it. Tip number 1, rest on your laurels because you earn them after all. If it worked before, you can guarantee it's gonna work again. Whatever you did that got you here is gonna get you there. Some people say yesterday's home runs don't win today's games, but I mean, really, are they even qualified to speak on baseball? So tip number 2, stay in your comfort zone. So like, why push a project past the bare minimum? I always say you can use yesterday's solutions for today's problems. And the real key here is to stick to the things that come easy to you. Tip number 3, really important, you want to be uncoachable. So that includes brushing off anyone's attempt to offer you constructive criticism, because what do they know anyway, right? Tip number 4, take it personal, and I mean all of it. And you need to remember here that every critique is an indictment against your intelligence and your character. So take it personal. Tip number 5, you need to seek flattery and not feedback. Because, I mean, look, and this is where that fixed mindset comes in. You can't really develop yourself, so don't be open to unflattering information about your current abilities. This is really one of the hallmarks of that fixed mindset that we talked about. So you want to hold on to this. So how do you do that? Well, you want to avoid people that challenge you to become better. You should avoid people that encourage you to learn new things, and definitely avoid people that see your faults and help you work on them. So who should you hang out with then? Well, pick people that can see that you've already reached perfection. Pick people that avoid tough conversations that help you, and definitely pick people that don't see your blind spots either, because there are none. There are no blind spots for you. Tip 6, you need to remember that the goal is to always look smart. So never risk appearing incompetent. You need to do like what I did and pretend you know what the acronym LOTO means for at least 12 months before even asking. And always keep in mind that this old truth, smart people don't learn things. They just know things from birth. Because success isn't about learning to be smart. It's about proving that you're already smart. And if you can, make it look effortless. Because it's better to feel smart in the short run than to expose your deficiencies. So that's just a pro tip I wanted to put in here. Let's go to tip 7. You need to take less risk. So like we already said, stick to the things that come easy to you. The key here is to always play it safe. You don't want to rock the boat. And that one thing that you've always wanted to do, you'll probably do it someday, but why today? Tip number 8, you want to make it all about you. So that includes, forget the mission, forget serving other people, because your ego is your amigo, my friend. I want to quote one of the great American businessmen from Scranton, Pennsylvania, Michael Scott, when he said, "I want all of the credit and none of the blame." This needs to be our attitude when we come to work every day. Who wants responsibility? Come on. Tip 9, and this is really important. If you're not careful, you might actually do this, but you want to never work on your craft outside of your job. So I'm put together a short list. These are things that I've fallen prey to in the past. You don't want to do side projects, tutorials, reading, no books, no early mornings or late nights. Who has time for that? No journaling, sketching, painting, drawing. Don't attend any workshops. Don't bother meeting other people in your industry. And you can forget inviting other people to coffee, because that's just going to be trouble. And then tip number 10, you don't want to defend your ideas. Don't defend your judgment. Don't defend your strategy. Just defend your sweat. 2 key indicators of really great ideas are: 1, you're the one that thought of it, obviously. And 2, you've already spent time working on it. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. You can go ahead and press undo, hit Command Z on everything that you've just heard. I want to give you some bonus reading suggestions. Mindset by Carol Dweck, Keep Going by Austin Kleon, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, all really great books to help encourage you and put a fire at your feet, help you press forward and keep growing. I'm grateful and proud to work with all of you. That's all, folks, and Merry Christmas.
That was amazing. There were so many comments in chat about how awesome that was. And can you post that in the employees group so I can download it and look at it when I'm having a bad day? I just love it. You remind me so much of John Acuff. Have you read any of his stuff?
No.
Oh, okay. You might like it. He's got a lot of humor like that, but wonderful. Let's see if there are any questions here. Lydia says, "I want you to make a book of this, please." Legendary. Your ego is your amigo. Made me laugh too. Does anybody have any questions for Josh? Or do we all just love it and have no questions?
Josh, what inspired you to make a very sarcastic presentation?
Well, so typically I like to do things very sincerely, but with this being such a short amount of time, but this being the subject matter I wanted to talk about, this seemed like, the only way to do it that would keep it interesting, keep it light, but also even writing this talk and making these slides was very thought-provoking for me, kind of like lamenting over my past and then auditing things that I'm still doing in the present that are, in this slide, in this talk. So yeah, it just seemed like the right tone for this amount of time.
I love it.
For anybody who hasn't read Mindset or read about mindset, can you describe in a few seconds what a fixed mindset is?
Yeah, so Mindset was recommended to me by Brian Heinz, who I think was recommended to him by Nick Kelly and Micah Ellis. Basically, Carol Dweck lays out the difference in a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And essentially, a person who has a fixed mindset thinks that every expression of work, every time they talk, it's an expression of their fixed, solid state intelligence, and that can't change. And so they end up being very risk averse. They take things very personally because they really don't believe that they can grow and improve their intelligence and improve their skill. Whereas people with a growth mindset want to take on new challenges where their deficiencies are exposed, their incompetencies are exposed, because they realize that they can get better, they can grow, and that's the only way to do it. And so I remember Brian Heitz one day said to me, I think you have a fixed mindset. It was a couple of months after I got here. I was kind of like, what the heck, man? What does that even mean? And when I started reading this book, oh my word, I was like, yeah, spot on, dead on. So yeah, I'd recommend this one to all of you. There's like maybe a few worldview differences that I would have with Mrs. Dweck, but I think you can eat the meat, spit out the bones on a lot of this. So
Wonderful. Any final questions or comments for Josh? All right. So
thanks, everyone.
Carrie, you are up.
Awesome. That's a hard act to follow. So mine is not as sarcastic. Give me just a second here to share